Crawford beats the shit out of him.
Really? Yeah?
Now, I'll tell you like this, I mean, the weight division things, but I hope Crawford beats the shit. What Canelo did on that day was disrespectful to boxing. It was just simply disrespectful to boxing in every way.
Was curious to see, how Canelo would handle that, and he got the ring off well, but
in a move that's sending shockwaves through the boxing world, the long-awaited clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is officially on. Two undisputed champions, one unforgettable night. Moving further into the predictions, Danny Garcia isn't sold on the idea of Terence Crawford jumping all the way up to 168 pounds to face Canelo Alvarez, laying some expertise from his own recent experience stepping up in weight after a layoff. In addition to that, Garcia was emphatic that leap is not to be taken lightly. He went on to explain that when you're not fighting and you're battling larger men, every shot feels heavier, your timing's off, and your body simply doesn't take the same damage. That's the risk Crawford might be walking into.
Crawford has been active, and he's been a champion his whole career. That's something you got to give Crawford for. You got to give Crawford his flowers. He's really been a champion since 2012. Has never not been a champion. So he has the champion's mindset. He is going up to 168, so that's a steep hill to climb. He has the tools, but I think Canelo's gonna. My personal opinion, I think Canelo's gonna be too much for him.
Whereas Garcia accorded Crawford maximum respect for what he'd achieved, referring to him as a genuine champion who's remained atop the division for more than a decade. He wondered whether Crawford's power would translate into the super middleweight weight class. He referred to Crawford's display at 154, mentioning that it wasn't exactly a demonstration of dominance, and at 168, things only got tougher.
Just me assessing Crawford's last performance when he went up to 154 against Madrimov. I feel like his power didn't really carry up that much to 154. So I feel like 168 is going to be that's tough. If he pulls this off, you got to put him up there top 3 of all time. That means he'll unify 3 divisions, all 4 belts in 3 different divisions. That's going up all them weight classes to beat Canelo. If he wins this fight, you got to put him up there probably top 3 of all time. But it's going to be a steep hill to climb. It's going to be tough. If he can do it, all praise to him. But I think it will be too much for him. That's just my personal opinion.
However, boxing promoter Antonio Gates predicted the fight as he sees Terence Crawford will enter a fight against Canelo Alvarez in peak condition and possesses the ability to defeat him. Though he understands that Canelo's power would be a serious problem, Gates still comes down on Crawford. He called him Trey and the best boxer in the sport. In the end, he chooses Crawford to win due to his superior boxing skills, even though Canelo is a physical threat.
Terence Crawford, Canelo.
Yeah, I believe Terence Crawford is going to be in top shape, and I believe he's good enough to outpoint Canelo. But I believe the power would be a challenge, if you will. So I'm gonna say Terence Crawford.
Terence Crawford?
Because I think Terence Crawford is the best boxer in the world.
In addition, legendary boxing commentator Jim Lampley gave major props to Canelo Alvarez, spotlighting the Mexican superstar's underrated defensive brilliance and granite chin. Lampley highlighted that Canelo's toughness isn't just about power, it's about how he weathers storms and stays composed under fire.
Canelo's smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows this business as well as anybody. So no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him balanced. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career, and it was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest. And the referee employed a strict interpretation of the rules and said, oh, the ropes held you up, so that's a knockdown. He's never been put on his back by anybody.
Furthermore, Jim Lampley said he did not think anyone could beat Canelo. Beyond just praising Canelo's skill, Lampley zeroed in on what really separates him: his defensive acumen, pressure, calm and collectedness, and world-class punch resistance. He noted that Canelo not only survives in grueling battles,
he rides horseback every morning. His legs are the strongest in the sport. You're not going to beat Canelo until somehow over a long period of time Canelo beats himself. If he gets tired of all the discipline he has had to employ to make all the money he's made, if he has enough giant ranches in the Yucatan, if he has enough beautiful horses, if he has had enough unforgettable dinners with Mexican billionaires in Mexico City and Vegas, then maybe. But my guess is he will retire without incurring another loss.
Jim Lampley offered a powerful take on the potential clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence "Bud" Crawford, and he didn't hold back. Although he admitted that the fight would be interesting and full of top-level strategy, Lampley eventually feels it would be a brutal evening for Crawford. He complimented Canelo's top-level defense, poise, and capacity to take punches, labeling him as one of the toughest men in the game. He thinks the fight is competitive in spurts, but thinks that Canelo would break down Bud and deliver him a clear loss.
I do like him against Bud Crawford, but I do think that it's a great fight. Now, I could change my mind when we get closer. Bud Crawford, to me, is a latter-day Sugar Ray Robinson. He has the multiple skills of Sugar Ray Robinson. He can defend or attack. He has a deep inner mean streak that he can employ at any moment in a fight to get what he wants to beat Terence Crawford, who is the great professional of his era, along with Canelo Alvarez. That's why that's such a great fight. They are the two living, practicing ultra professionals in the sport. They know it inside out. And one way or another, it's going to be a spectacular intellectual matchup of two great ring strategists.
Meanwhile, British boxer Conor Benn didn't hold back when weighing in on a potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He praised Crawford's abilities, asserting that with the proper setup, Cord could beat anyone at 154 or 160 pounds, but acknowledged that 168 may be one step too far.
With Crawford going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is...
Canelo. Yeah.
Oh, Canelo. I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power. And then Canelo, you know, when he's fought Belenga, then fought Ryder, Munguia. It's even. I think it'd be a 50-50 fight if Crawford fought Canelo.
On Canelo's behalf, Ben praised the Mexican superstar's ring IQ, dubbing him an intelligent fighter who, similar to Crawford, isn't simply power only. Citing recent contests against Berlanga, Ryder, and Munguia, Ben said a showdown between Canelo and Crawford would be razor sharp. He asserted, foreshadowing fireworks in case the two ever occupy the same ring. On the other hand, American boxer Bruce Carrington has strong convictions about Terence Crawford's potential to adapt and grow in the lead-up to a showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Carrington is convinced that Crawford has learned some valuable lessons from Canelo's recent fight against Caleb Plant. He's sure that Crawford possesses the strategy and insight he needs to defeat Canelo, but it will involve a war of wits and strategy.
I think that, he's naturally taller than Canelo. I think that just Canelo, though, he has more muscle density, I would say. That's why he's able to fight up to 175. I'm sure Bud took something from that skull fight, because you see Canelo was getting frustrated from time to time. At times, like, he'll stop running after you, and then he'll just like step back to the middle of the ring and just show some sort of frustration. And anybody that knows, Canelo has problems with movers. He wants to just sit there and be able to hit you
Carrington also stressed the epic importance of the bout, saying that this isn't merely any competition. This is an encounter between two of boxing's greatest stars, both with their own legacy and personality coming into the ring. He feels that the level of stardom and the high stakes make the fight not only a championship fight, but an international spectacle.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And on top of that, like, this is going to be another new weight class for Bud. So it was like, what is the punch resistance going to be like? Are you going to be able to take some hits in your arms? Because, you know, Canelo, he's known for that. He's known for, like, tapping that shoulder from time to time throughout the rounds. And, you know, so, like, what is that going to feel like to Bud, you know? So it's still a lot of question marks before that first bell rings that has to be answered. It's just gonna, that's what makes the fight so exciting. That makes the fight so interesting. And we got two of the biggest names in the sports just going at it. And yeah, this one's gonna be like mega, man. And I'm definitely gonna be in the building for that. I can't miss that at all.
Meanwhile, Bruce Carrington believes Terence Crawford has what it takes to figure out Canelo Alvarez, especially after studying Canelo's recent fights. He pointed out that Crawford is evolving, picking up key lessons from Canelo's bout with John Ryder and other recent opponents. Although Carrington also analyzed Canelo's style, referring to him as a patient, methodical boxer who doesn't rush but fights with intention. Although Canelo looks slow at times, Carrington explains that's part of the reason he's so dangerous. He's calculated, technical, and always seeking the perfect time to strike. That makes the fight with Crawford not only compelling, but interesting.
I think, yeah, like Canelo sometimes, like, you can tell, like sometimes Canelo can fight a little lazy. You know, he can just be in there just like, whatever, let me just get this over with. You know, like sometimes Canelo doesn't really fight with a sense of urgency anymore. And, you know, granted, like for certain fights, yeah, it's fine, because if you're up on the scorecards, you know, there's no need. But certain fights, it's like, bro, like it's time to like pick it up. You know what I mean? Let's try to win convincingly. Let's not have a close fight or at least something that could be arguable. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely think that Canelo at this point, it could be a time thing. You know, he's been in a lot of fights, man. He's been in a lot of fights. He's been in some wars. You know, he probably don't even want to be putting that much energy into just, you know, chasing the guy around anymore. So, yeah, nah, I'm really interested to see how Bud adapts, how he adopts that lateral movement.
Moreover, to Carrington, this is not only a tremendous fight, it's a mega fight. It's two of the sport's largest personalities coming together in a fight that's as much about legacy. Secondly, pro boxer Joseph Brown weighed in on the buzzworthy showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, and he's all in on the hype. Brown wasn't shy in offering praise for the two fighters, stating their resumes were stacked and their skill sets elite. For Brown, this is no ordinary high-profile matchup. It's a potential classic.
You got Bud Crawford and Canelo. They're slated to fight in September.
It's going to be an interesting fight. Honestly, it's kind of 50-50 in my opinion. Obviously, Canelo's got the weight and natural size advantage, but Bud's very technically skilled and sharp. Yeah. So it's going to be a good fight.
He views it as an all-out, high-stakes game of chess with firecracker moments. A war where each round has the potential to shift the momentum. For Brown, this fight is the epitome of a thriller pace, strength, ring intelligence, and legacy hanging in the balance. He is anticipating fireworks all the way and thinks that the fans are in for something very special if this fight comes to fruition. Similarly, American former professional boxer Andre Ward didn't hesitate to put Terence Crawford at the top of the list when it comes to pure skill in boxing today. While he gave credit to other phenomenal talents such as Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and Jaron Ennis, even to the point of Boots being his personal favorite, it was obvious that Crawford operated in a category of his own.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Tyke Shakur, Devin, Boots.
My favorite.
It's a lot of them, and they skillful in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud, because me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. You gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away.
Even though Ward described what makes Crawford unique as not only his skill set, it's his mindset. Their relationship is based on a similar mindset, ultra competitive, never ending, and fueled by a flame that doesn't dwindle under pressure. Ward described how whenever he and Crawford are in the same room, they inevitably end up arguing not only about boxing, but about everything. That flame, that edge, is what makes Bud different from the rest.
And to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this, it's different, man. There's not a lot of guys like that out there currently. There's a lot of guys that talk it, but until you get in that real fire, I'm not saying a guy you fighting a guy you should beat. I'm saying a guy that it's a 50-50 matchup. We don't really know what you have. You don't even really know what you have.
Likewise, boxing expert and well-known trainer Stephen Breadman Edwards was blunt when weighing in on the Canelo Crawford affair, and he's placing his money on Bud to steal the win.
I like Crawford.
Okay.
I do.
Why so?
I just think that there's certain kind of guys you can move up and fight, and there's certain kind of guys you can't move up and fight. And a guy like Canelo, like if Crawford was fighting Benavidez, I wouldn't pick him. You know what I mean? It's the downhill pressure, it's the size, it's the hand speed, it's the relentlessness of having to push that big body off you all night. I wouldn't pick him. But Canelo is more methodical, he's smaller, he's coming from a lower weight division, he slowed down the step. Crawford's longer, he's more agile, he's taller, he has better conditioning, he got better feet.
In other words, as Edwards explained, the reason Crawford defeats Canelo boils down to one thing. Canelo's greatest error is his pace. Edwards explained that Canelo has a tendency to fight in spurts, tending to go long periods of time between combinations, particularly in later rounds. That slower, more methodical approach may be effective against plotting opponents, but against quick, reactive, and adaptable fighter Crawford, it may be deadly.
Even though he's older, I think he's fresher. Although, you know, Canelo is a great fighter in my opinion. One of the best super middleweights I've ever seen. One of the best Mexican fighters I've ever seen.
For this reason, he pointed out that Bud's range-changing skills, range control, and ability to time out counters would catch Canelo off his rhythm. For Edwards, it is not merely skills, it's tempo, timing, and ring IQ. And Crawford, in his opinion, wins that tempo war all night long.
Canelo's smaller, is shorter than him. You know, Crawford has a lot more length. Crawford's a better conditioned fighter. And the pressure that Canelo puts on you is excellent pressure, but it gives Crawford time to think. And Crawford don't make a lot of mistakes, you know? So he'll give him time to think, he'll give him time to get his feet wet, he'll give him time to pick and land his little shots. And I think Crawford's gonna have more in his gas tank coming down the stretch.
In a surprising twist, Terence "Bud" Crawford revealed that it was none other than Bill Haney, the vocal father and trainer of Devin Haney, who sowed the seed for the Canelo Alvarez showdown. According to Crawford, Bill Haney was the one who encouraged him to pursue greatness by moving up to 168 to confront boxing's paymaster, Canelo. It was a lighthearted suggestion that became a brazen challenge, and now it is the sport's most buzzed about potential bout.
Tell me the first time when fighting Canelo was real to you, when you was like, oh shit, like this is something I really want to do.
Man, to be honest, I was sitting in the gym and Bill Haney came up to me and he was like, man, forget it, Spence. He was like, go fight Canelo. And I was looking at him, I was like, man, come on, way up there. And he was like, no, that's your fight. He was like, Spence ain't your fight, Canelo your fight. Like, that's the one you need to go after for.
Consequently, boxing veteran Shawn Porter isn't just watching the Canelo versus Crawford buildup with curiosity, he's watching with real concern. While Porter respects Crawford's unmatchable ability and determination, he's cautioning fans and pundits not to undervalue the risk of going up to 168 to battle a monster like Canelo. For Porter, it's not only about ability, it's about physics. Canelo is not merely a larger man, he's a natural middleweight with destructive power and elite level poise.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend.
Porter questioned how Chow Crawford's body would cope with the power of a fighter who's been shutting out top-shelf names at 168. He also mentioned how the pace, pressure, and timing of Canelo would suffocate Crawford's rhythm. In Porter's opinion, Crawford will require more than skill. He'll require durability, an impeccable game plan, and perhaps even a dash of luck.
It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo has, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So
the fight is coming closer. Canelo Alvarez, the battle-hardened warrior with iron resolve, unmatched experience, and a granite chin forged through years at the top, and Terence Crawford, the undefeated technician, a master of adjustments, with fire in his eyes and greatness in his DNA. This isn't just a fight, it's a moment, a collision of eras, styles, and mentalities. But who do you have, Canelo or Crawford? And why? Can Crawford's speed and skill overcome Canelo's size and power? Is Canelo too experienced and too durable for Crawford? Drop your predictions in the comments. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update, analysis, or reaction.